Hello and welcome to Module 3, E-Cigarettes, Chew, and Hookah. This is Dr. Nicholas Pennings, and this is the Nicotine Cessation Training Program. Today we're going to be talking about e-cigarettes. This is a short video on e-cigarettes in Minnesota.
While smoking rates are declining across the country, a new trend is on the rise: the use of electronic or e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes are battery-operated devices typically filled with nicotine, flavors, and other chemicals. They produce a vapor that is inhaled by the user. Some of the largest tobacco companies in the United States, such as Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds, have now established their own e-cigarette brands, including Mark 10 and Views. Many e-cigarettes look like conventional cigarettes, while others look like everyday items, such as pens. Research shows that flavored tobacco products appeal to children and teens. While it is illegal for ordinary cigarettes to be sold in flavors other than menthol, flavoring of e-cigarettes is not regulated yet, so they often come in candy flavors like gummy bear and cotton candy. E-cigarette advertising is not regulated and has been shown to reach youth, and a recent study from the CDC found that e-cigarette use among middle and high school students increased significantly between 2011 and 2012. Because the FDA has not yet regulated e-cigarettes, users don't know how much nicotine or what types of chemicals they are inhaling when using them. Recent studies, for example, have found nicotine, heavy metals, and other toxic compounds in e-cigarette vapor. So, how does Minnesota law treat e-cigarettes? In Minnesota, e-cigarettes are taxed as tobacco products, and it's illegal to sell them to minors. However, e-cigarettes are not covered under Minnesota's Clean Indoor Air Act.
Just give you an idea of some of the regulations that are evolving around the country. Currently, many states do not regulate e-cigarettes, although that is something that is on the rise. E-cigarettes are being more commonly used in adults. A survey of smokers who have tried e-cigarettes has increased from 9.8% in 2010 to 36.5% in 2012. Current e-cigarettes users have increased from 1% in 2010 to 3.6% in 2013. So clearly seeing an increased use amongst adults, but also particularly amongst youth, this is a concern. The numbers of never smoking youth who used e-cigarettes increased from 79,000 in 2011 to more than 263,000 in 2013. So here are first-time users choosing e-cigarettes as their form of nicotine use. 90% of non-smoking teens report some level of exposure to e-cigarettes through advertising and promotion. So there's a direct marketing effort towards this population. In fact, the e-cigarettes really are very heavily marketed to the youth population, just like cigarettes have been in the past. The content of e-cigarettes are currently unrestricted, although that is coming under FDA regulation soon, as well as advertising, but still advertising is not restricted, and in some areas sale to minors has not been prohibited as well. E-cigarettes come in flavors that appeal to children, like bubblegum, cherry, cotton candy, and these also increase the likelihood of young kids becoming addicted to nicotine through e-cigarettes. Another concern are calls to poison control. In 2010, there was one call a month. In 2014, there were 215 a month. So you can see from this graph the rapid rise in the number of calls for nicotine poisoning associated with e-cigarettes. And what happens here is that kids get into the cartridges that are used in e-cigarettes and chew on them and break them open and then get a massive exposure of nicotine, which can make them very sick, even be fatal. E-cigarettes have not been shown to be an effective strategy for cessation. In fact, in some studies have suggested that they decrease the likelihood of cessation. And this is particularly in populations of combined use. Some people have successfully used e-cigarettes to stop smoking and use them as a weaning process, but there needs to be a clear endpoint. It needs to be a clear process by which they go from tobacco to an e-cigarette to nothing. If that's part of a strategy, then it can be effective. What ends up happening more commonly is mixed use, so that in areas where people are not allowed to smoke, say at work or on a plane or something of that nature, they use an e-cigarette to get them through those episodes. So that becomes a way of being able to continue their nicotine dependency at times where they can't smoke a cigarette. And the end result is that the cigarette smoking continues. Really what we see with e-cigarettes is a strategy for long-term use. They're not in this business to help people quit smoking. Their goal is to shift people from one nicotine dependency to another. Chewing tobacco or other forms of smokeless tobacco are commonly used as well. Chewing tobacco can come as a loose leaf, it can come as a plug or a twist that's put in the mouth. Other forms including snuff or snus, which is a more finely ground type of tobacco that is pocketed in the cheek or comes in little pouches that are kept in between the cheek and gum. And here the nicotine is sucked on and the tobacco is chewed, and then they usually end up spitting it out. Snus and snuff require less spitting than regular tobacco, but still that is one of the effects of it. Most of the nicotine here is now absorbed through the cheek, through the buccal cavity, as it's parked in between the mouth and the gums. Who uses smokeless tobacco? Well, young white males are the most, and American Indians are the most common populations. 3% of Americans use smokeless tobacco. 6% are males versus less than 1% females. 9% of American Indians use a smokeless tobacco. And what's more concerning is that 13.6% of high school students are using smokeless tobacco, which predicts a rise of long-term use. There are serious health risks associated with smokeless tobacco. Dental problems causing gingival loss, where you have receding gums, which then ultimately result in tooth loss. Leukoplakia, which is demonstrated on the image here as that white patch underneath the tongue, is associated with and predisposition to oral cancers, which are still quite common with smokeless tobacco. Hookah is another means of smoking. Hookah are water pipes that are used to smoke especially made tobacco that often comes in many different flavors. We see apple, mint, cherry, chocolate, coconut, licorice, cappuccino, watermelon are just some examples of the types of flavors that come in hookah. Although many users think it's less harm, hookah smoking has many of the same health risks that are associated with cigarette smoking. Hookah comes under a number of different names which are listed here, and hookah is more commonly done in groups. Hookah is becoming increasingly prevalent among college students, with the usage ranging from 22 to 40%. Hookah and tobacco smoke contain several toxic agents that are known to cause bladder, lung, and oral cancers. So again, hookahs are not a safe alternative. Some of the other agents, little cigars, cigarillos, which can be tipped or unfiltered, biddies, which are small, thin hand-rolled tobacco, or cretics, which are tobacco that's flavored with cloves, are other forms of tobacco that can be used. And truthfully, there's really no known safe smoking products. Heating any substance to a high temperature and inhaling increases the risk of cancers and other illnesses. The elevation to high temperatures often triggers chemical reactions in the production of chemical agents that are not found in the tobacco itself until there is a reaction with a flame and resulting in a release and formation of other chemicals. So in summary, the use of electronic cigarettes is on the rise, especially among teens. The contents of cigarettes currently are unregulated, and risks associated with their use remain unknown. and that is the biggest concern. Smokeless tobacco use is quite common. Hookah is also common, especially among college students. But truthfully, the smoking any substance poses health risks and should be avoided. Here are some references that can be referred to for further information. Thank you.